Hello, my name is Charles Lorenz, and this is my presentation on John Dirkx in Transformative Learning. The article I'm going to summarize is called Nurturing Soul Work, a Jungian Approach to Transformative Learning. This is Chapter 7 of the Handbook of Transformative Learning, Theory, Research, and Practice. John Dirkx is a PhD professor at Michigan State University and the director of the College of Education Masters of Arts in Education. I've also included his LinkedIn profile on this slide. So some foundations of the article to help understand Dirkx's theory. Transformative learning is a cognitive process used to transform old assumptions and judgments into meaning-making perspective based on Mezirov's transformative learning theory. Transformative learning suggests not only change in what we know we're able to do, but also a dramatic shift in how we come to know and understand ourselves in relation to the broader world. Most scholars of transformative learning would agree that this form of learning involves the making and remaking of meaning. Jungian approach is an in-depth analytical form of analysis designed to bring together the conscious and unconscious parts of the mind to help a person feel balanced and whole. The conscious and unconscious parts of the self are referred to as the soul. Dirkx pursues understanding the way we make sense of our lives and how we interact in the world. He also pursues the understanding to learn to focus on meaning as it is within ourselves. To do this, we need to understand ourselves, become aware of, and integrating powerful unconscious feelings for intellectual and cognitive growth. Dirkx refers to this approach as nurturing the soul. Dirkx views transformative learning as a meaning-making process within adult education aimed at promoting a democratic vision of society and self-actualization of individuals. Learning is life, not a preparation for it. Therefore, transformative learning requires authenticity, a commitment to focus on here and now, and awareness of feelings and emotions within the learning setting. The relationship between the individual and the broader world is discussed in terms of the critical role it plays in learning. Dirkx describes our emotions and feelings as a kind of language for helping us learn about ourselves, our relationship with others, and how to make sense of all aspects of our experiences, both objective and subjective. Our sense of who we are and what our relationship is to the world must naturally be drawn into the learning process, leading to deeper engagements with ourselves and the world. The concept of individualism, which is a psychological development of becoming unified, but also becoming a unique personality that is undivided and integrated person. Psychological wholeness involves the conscious and unconscious aspect of one's own psyche. Ego refers to one's experiencing of oneself as a center of a willing, desiring, reflecting, and acting. Conscious always stands in relation to the unconscious. Ego consciousness is the awareness of the concern for the inner unconscious world. Consciousness refers to what we know. The unconsciousness constitutes what we do not consciously know. The ego can work with the consciousness. However, content that is unconscious cannot be accessed by the ego. The unconscious is very powerful in shaping our consciousness. Ego consciousness, through our interactions and relationship with both our inner and outer world, represent the aim of transformative learning. Soul work is the establishment and elaboration of relationship with one's unconscious, along with the ability to recognize and address the reactions of the unconscious with your conscious self. Nurturing the soul in transformative learning requires that we must understand and incorporate a holistic view in order to fully understand how adults learn and how educators can effectively facilitate the process of learning. We must experience relevance and personal meaning. Deeply meaningful learning experience can challenge our old habits of thinking and these experiences potentially cause radical shifts in person's consciousness. The facilitator in adult learning must attend to the matters of the soul. The facilitator must address the understanding of the unconscious issues that are shaping their learning. The general approach used to nurture the soul work is referred to as imaginal methods. The first is careful observation, which is using descriptions, feelings associated with experiences, actors that are involved, and relationships. Second is the process of association, where a student describes how issues reflect similar experiences they've had in the past. Third method is the component of amplification, which is the process of a student makes use of popular culture, literature, and mythology to expand meaning. It broadens work with essentially from the individual to the collective. And the fourth method is the component called animation. This is the process where students are encouraged to engage the image and to enter an imaginal dialogue with this image. This is usually in written form and not thought about. Essentially, you just record what enters your consciousness. The imaginal method helps students identify emotionally laden issues that are often represent various manifestations of their unconscious issues that are evoked within teaching and learning. An example is taking a math class. You may hate math, but you don't know specifically why you hate math. Something inside you hates math. By addressing this inner self, it is intended to provide a more holistic and integrated way of framing the meaning making that occurs in contemporary contexts for learning. This kind of transformative education is requiring a true paradigm shift in the way of thinking about teaching and learning. It brings in the ego and the ego consciousness into the learning process and allows our inner selves greater expression and voice. It allows for a deeper and more meaningful presence of the imagination and the forces of the unconscious. Learners must be deeply engaged, even in the most mundane of the learning experiences. Another concern is how to become aware of and integrate powerful unconscious feelings within the context of cognitive growth and critical reflection. The role of professional development for the educator. Transformative learning about teaching occurs when educators critically examine their practice and develop alternative perspectives of understanding their practice. As this professional development occurs, educators critically examine the assumptions of their underlying practice, the consequences of their assumptions, and the development of perspectives on their practice. Instructors need professional development that will help them to question, challenge, and experience critical discussions on school improvement. The role of the learner. The goal of learning is for learners to construct knowledge about themselves, others, and social norms. As a result, learners play an important role in the learning environment and process. Learners must become critical of their own assumptions in order to transform their unquestioned frame of reference. Through communicative learning, learners must work towards critically reflecting on assumptions that underlie their intentions, values, beliefs, and feelings. Dirkx states that transforming our frames of reference involves rational and extra-rational processes. This perspective describes the unconscious as a powerful source of creative and potentially constructive forces within our lives. These unconscious energies represent the language of the self and the journey towards wholeness. What he is saying is we are seeking an integration of the mind and the soul. Thank you.